Mr. Malema, thank you so much for the opportunity.
Sure.
You've been on the road for a while. You were in the Eastern Cape last week. Now you're wrapping up in Mpumalanga. How do you feel?
Well, we started in the Western Cape. We went to Eastern Cape. Now we're in Mpumalanga. Then we'll be proceeding today to KZN. And I'm happy that the organization is growing very fast in all corners of the country. And I'm happy that we now have leadership, we've got structures, and the response on the ground is so overwhelming. I mean, we had to stop a meeting in Umtata because the people could not stop, celebrating their organization. 45 minutes, they couldn't fit in the venue, it was too small, and we had to reschedule, and then we'll be going back to Umtata. So I'm happy that we are well received everywhere.
Okay. And then in Mpumalanga, the first place I went to at the rally was in Komazi.
Yeah.
Before you got there, there was a lot of tension between the supporters of the EFF and supporters of the ANC. What's your take on it?
Well, it was only seen here in Mpumalanga. We've never seen it anyway. We've been to Western Cape so far, we've been to Eastern Cape. And then we came here and found ANC criminals. It tells you about the caliber of leadership the ANC has in this province. I even called Mantashi to tell him what type of nonsense is this where the ANC opens fire against EFF supporters when we've just recently signed the Code of Conduct, committing ourselves to conduct ourselves in a manner that is acceptable, which will lead to free and fair elections. So this place is led by thugs. I mean, they thrive on intimidation, they thrive on threats of violence and killing of people. So they thought they can do that with the EFF, but we're not going to allow them. We're not going to give them that chance. Under their intimidation, threat of violence, we continued with our work. And what is funny enough is that the ANC hooligans who threaten violence and disruption, when we start speaking, they all keep quiet and sit down to listen. And then only after we've left or before we arrive, they fight. But when we're there, they want to get the message because they too are victims of the same government. It has not done anything for them, and they are there because they think there will be something coming their way after disrupting the EFF meetings. But the reality is that they're going back to their poverty, and nothing happens. They buy them alcohol, they give them few rent to come and disrupt the EFF meetings. So DT must be ashamed. I mean, the ANC must be ashamed that it can still conduct violent activities 22 years into democracy, where democracy was supposed to be maturing. We should be now knowing that we coexist, and our constitution permits multi-party democracy. So meaning there must be more parties for the constitution to realize the desire to have a multi-party democratic system.
What was Mr. Mantashe's response when you called him?
He said he was with the secretary of the region of the ANC, and he was going to relay the message to him. And I hope we did the right thing. I wouldn't know, but I was just saying to him, we ought to tolerate one another. Let people vote for the party of their choice out of the best campaign and manifesto presented before them, not because of intimidation and because people think they don't have a choice, only to find that choice has been blocked by the ANC from entering the so-called no-go areas.
Are you happy with the turnout, the rallies you've attended this week?
Absolutely. I call rallies 10 o'clock in the morning. People are there 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock during the week, during working hours. I've never seen that when I was still in the ANC. We were only convening meetings during weekends, and we were only convening meetings through posters which have names of artists. So we don't do that. We call people based on their own issues. We tell them the truth, who's coming. We don't over-exaggerate what is in for them, and our people come, and dish out food, we don't dish out t-shirts, we don't dish out food parcels. We only have a conversation with our people. We give them an opportunity to speak first, and then from there we appreciate the conditions our people live in, because most politicians make a mistake of behaving like they know everything. Every time I get to listen to our people, every time I give our people an opportunity to speak, I learn a lot, and I come to appreciate that you know, problems differ from one place to the other.
It must be an expensive campaign. Here you are traveling, and you need all the logistics sorted out. It must be heavy on you.
It's not expensive at all, because in the EFF we maximize with the little resources we have. We sleep in the same rented places. We share the small, you know, accommodation. We travel in the same cars. We have no convoys, and the mobilization largely depend on the word of mouth, because there are no posters, there are no leaflets, nothing. It's just our people going door to door, our people spreading the word that the leadership will be here to speak to our people, to listen to our people, so that from time to time, when inputs are made in Parliament and when inputs are going to be made in the municipalities, are done from an informed point of view. So we want it to be community-based, because what is actually expensive is big rallies, to bring people from all over with buses and fences, stadiums and stages and sound system. It is very expensive, but we find it much better and doable if we convene community meetings, and a lot of them within a day. I do 3 to 4 meetings a day. The leadership of the EFF does the same throughout the country. So you find that we actually speak to plus minus 15,000 people within a day, and we haven't spent more than 10,000.
Is there a specific part of the manifesto that the public responds well to?
All of it. You know, the EFF manifesto is the people's manifesto from the first page to the last page. You can choose any topic, any issue. I will tell you how they respond to it. They receive them well. They understand when you say to them, we're going to cancel tenders, particularly on basic things that must be provided by municipalities. You see them keeping quiet, wanting you to give them a clear explanation. What do you mean by that? Because they were being misled for a very long time that things happen because of tenders. Now you say to them, a tender to patch potholes will take almost a year, and a pothole is going to be there for the whole year. So instead of advertising a tender to come and patch potholes, we're going to hire people, and those people are going to respond within 48 hours, because a tender to advertise it will take 3 months, and for it to be adjudicated it will take another 3 months. If they find a mistake in it, they will have to re-advertise. That means another 6 months. Then it takes a year to come and patch a pothole. But with people working for the municipality to do that road, it won't take us 48 hours to replace that. Now they catch it and say, it makes sense.
What
we simplify it like that.
What about the negative, critical feedback? What sort of feedback have you received?
There's no negative feedback except from white-owned media, Financial Mail, which is threatened by any program that seeks to uplift the living conditions of black people. Anything that seeks to help black is a threat to white comfort, and therefore will be attacked by white-owned media. It will bankrupt the economy. It is going to be very expensive. It is undoable. But I've always explained that, for instance, somebody says to me, where are you going to get money to do crutches per ward? And I say, where I come from, in Sishio, everyone has got a park, and that park where people relax, a park where people relax. So that park to me is a crutch, and those who are working in that park is the teachers at the crutch. So you rechannel the resources and then use them for the needs of the people. The Seshiwo people don't need parks. Parks are luxury. So let's get crutches so that we catch these young kids at an early age, so they grow up within an education system. They will love it forever, for the rest of their lives. Because what is a priority between a park and a crutch? Let's get our priorities right. The money is there.
The media will always be critical, financial mail being one of them. And I think the ownership is not really the driver of the things that we drive. So it's our duty to look at the things you do and the things you say and write about them, as we will continue to do. But it's beautiful that we have this opportunity to go through some of these things. But then practically,
you have a right to critique, and we have a right to critique you back. When you make a terrible mistake like that in an editorial of Financial Mail, wanting to critique a manifesto of the EFF, and then you go and fetch side issues to try and prove that the EFF manifesto will bankrupt the country. I think it was mischievous. It was not done in good faith. But I'm not complaining. I'm engaging in the discourse.
Then when you look practically at maybe a number of municipalities you have a chance of winning, how many do you think?
Well, they are too scary even now because they keep on increasing. I always say to the EFF people, it looks like we're going to be caught by surprise. Because for some reason the EFF has got, candidates in more than 4,000 wards. We've got 4,300 and something wards. Already branches in good standing, candidates, we've met them individually, committed to say we are going into this battle with an intention to win. So I think that let it be praised when it comes from the horse racing. Let's not praise it before by saying these are the number of municipalities we're going to win. I think the EFF program aims at winning all the municipalities and becoming number one. We're not going into a boxing ring to become number two. We want to become number one, because for the president of the EFF to say we want to win 18 municipalities, then the follow-up question is going to be, which municipalities are those? And then I'm going to list the municipalities and demoralize the others that I didn't speak about. So my intention is to always oil the machinery, encourage the machinery, and everyone else must know that no matter how small or big the municipality is, we're contesting to win that municipality.
What about coalitions? There's a possibility that Port Elizabeth, for example, you could be called on to be part of a coalition. Which party would you choose?
Well, we are amenable to any party. They have to come and make proposals. We are not going to go around asking parties to come into coalition with us. If we didn't win, we'll be in opposition. But if anyone thinks we can make a contribution, put your plans down. So we have not written a document that will guide a coalition, because we're not going to go around asking to work with anyone. They will come to us if they want to work with us. But we'll never work with the ANC. That's a no-no. The ANC, if we work with it, it will not appreciate the fact that people have rejected it. The ANC must be punished for having abandoned black people. The ANC must be punished for having engaged in a struggle for self-enrichment, particularly their political leadership. So the ANC said, no, the DA we can talk, but any program they put to us should be a program that prioritizes black areas. It's not a program that seeks to bring white power through a back door. We're not going to be party to any program that seeks to promote white superiority. We are rejecting that. And we don't want a coalition of two parties. We want everyone else who's in opposition to come into the party. If DA has got the best mayor candidate, let that person be a mayor. If the EFF has got one, if UDM has got one, let's come together and say, of our candidates who represent superior logic, who's got the political will to change the living condition of black people. Because there's no living condition of a white person that needs to be changed. I hear people saying we're fighting for black and white. What do white people want? They don't want anything. They are fine. So why do you fight for people who don't want anything? So the people who need assistance is black people, so that they can be at the same level with white people. Let's maintain the white suburbs. Let's make sure they do not degenerate. Let us invest in their maintenance, and then reroute all the resources to the black communities to promote them to be at the same level with white communities.
Are there any specific portfolios that the EFF would be interested in running? Should it be in a coalition government?
As I said, we don't have a manifesto on coalition. We don't even think of such. We have a manifesto on winning elections. So we don't look into what position, which one is strategic. No. I said program of action. What is this coalition based on? How is it going to change the lives of our people? And by when? It's no longer we'll put roads. No, you are going to put roads in Mamelodi. Yes, when? Which streets? By when? And if we don't achieve those by that time, can we agree that we terminate? Because it means the coalition is not working.
6% in the last election. Where do you see yourself at the aggregate figure coming this election?
We're going to be very big. I think that we're going to be number 2 if we're not number 1. I can tell you that.
What figure would you be happy with? Through 15% or 2, would you be happy?
Well, I'm happy with anything that puts us number 2 if we fail. But I want to be number 1. You see, I mean, I can't imagine why we are being led by the TA in terms of numbers. We now have a party in parliament. We now have structures on the ground. We are more politically equipped than the TA.
Please explain that. We are politically equipped than the TA.
We've got the best policies which seeks to uplift the living conditions of our people who are the left of politics. And that puts us at a strategic position because it makes us appeal to the working class. And the working class is the majority, in South Africa, unlike those neoliberals in the TA. So with a very clear ideological clarity, what more do you need? I mean, we cannot be compared with a priest like my money and those racists in the TA. We are not puppets of anyone. My money is a puppet of Helen Zille, controlled and managed by Helen Zille.
Practically, how do you take that out?
The true leader of the TA, practically the leader of TA resigned in Eastern Cape. Who convinced her not to resign is Helen Zille and not the leader of the TA. When we were chased out of parliament for the first time, and my man stood up to say, I want to know if those people were police. If you don't give me an assurance I'm leaving, he took his stuff, he stood up, the whites remained seated. And then after that, Steenhuisen did the same thing that my man did. Steenhuisen did not get any assurance. He took his stuff, and then he stood up. All whites stood up, and then they left parliament. So if that is not proof enough to you, I don't know what more do you want. My man is not in charge of the TA.
Let me take you back to 2012, August 2012. Marikana happens. Julius Malema forgotten. Not in the ANC. No, the ANC just had a policy conference.
Yeah.
Julius Malema watched it at home. You watched it at home,
Yeah.
did interviews with Business Day,
Yeah.
and you watched it on TV. Forgotten.
Yeah.
Written off.
Yeah.
How did you do it? How did you come back?
Well, I went home. I made a statement that I will never form a party. I will never contest the ANC. I'd never lived a life where I had imagined myself in the opposite side of the ANC and a life outside the ANC. So I said, well, it didn't work. Let me go and try something else. And I've got passion for the land. I've got passion for agriculture. So I went into it. And then when I was sitting at the farm, I saw the shooting of people on ENCA. But it appeared like it was an old picture to me because I had not imagined it happening. And then they kept on repeating it. Now I paid attention. And this thing just happened. And my phone started ringing and ringing non-stop. When I answered, it was Andile Lungisa, Floyd, under Bakery. They've been saying, no, we're calling you. There is a problem. People have been killed. I said, guys, you must leave me alone. I'm not part of those things. I'm home, I'm relaxed. Then the workers also started calling me. Say, we need you, we need to come. I said, I'm no longer in the ANC. I can't help you. And they said, we don't want you to be in the ANC. We just want someone to come and help us. Then I went, and Floyd insisted that we go. Then I went to listen to them. And I thought, we need to listen to these people. We need to help them. And we didn't have a cent, we didn't have anything. So we started raising the issue. The South African media was pulling out of Marikana. It was just one of those old stories to them. So we revived the story. We went to open a case against the police. The international media then kept on following us, checking on what are we doing to ensure that the story doesn't die. Then the workers got arrested. We went to release the workers. We got Dalim Mpofu and Andres Nkome to go and represent them for free. And then we released those workers, and then we ran a campaign on Marikana. When we were busy running a campaign on Marikana, those workers keep on saying, you must open a political party, you must open a political party, we'll go with you, we'll go with you. And now, I moved from Marikana to different mines. If you remember, the strikes were now happening in other mines. And then I went to those mines, I went into the gold sector, from the platinum sector, and I went into communities. Everywhere I went to, the message was, please open a party. We want to live with you. We are tired of these people who are not happy how they treated you. And then that's how the political party concept came from. And then we sat down, myself, Floyd Shibambo, David Masondo, and we agreed we're going to open a political party. David Masondo developed a cold feet. Many people don't know that Masondo was part of our meeting at my house in Sandton. And then we said, let's go and consult. Let's broaden it. And then we called a press conference, and then we opened it. But then Masondo came to my house and said, no, man, I never thought this was going to be the approach. I thought we agreed on an NGO so that we keep the struggle of economic freedom alive and not a political party per se. I said, Mason, that's fine. If that was your understanding, we had a different view. Now this thing is out there for people to discuss if there can be an alternative to the ANC. And then Mason said, look guys, if we are doing a political party, I'm not in, because I thought we were agreeing on an NGO, not necessarily a party. That's how Mason remained behind. And then we went on, called a press conference to ask the question on what is to be done. Then went to have a National People's Assembly at Andrew Tom's Hall in Soweto to consult our people. Then the people, all of them agreed that there must be a political formation. The ANC is not a viable alternative. The ANC will not self-correct. The ANC is self-destructing, and there is no one who can rescue it, and you can't rescue it even from within.
I'm wrapping up. What about the criticism that you're a highly gifted leader, good speaker, able to convince people? And then people look at history of leaders elsewhere who rose like yourself, highly gifted, able to wow people and get people to follow them. And they say, you've got to be careful. This guy will turn a dictator someday. How do you respond to such criticism?
Mandela was not a dictator. Mandela rose the way I rose. And that goes to Jesus Christ as well. Jesus Christ was not a dictator. He was just making miracles and saving people. We all rise through the conditions we find ourselves in. And it is actually a statement of hatred. When you can't find fault in this man, you just dismiss him that he's going to be a dictator, so that people must be scared of the unknown. So it's not true. All of those that we praise, Lenin, Fidel, we're Sankara, President Mandela, Winnie Mandela, came because they were pained by the living conditions of their people. The sufferings of their people on the ground inspired them. And they started fighting for those people. So it is that thing that informs, is that thing that burns in me when I want to sit at home, enjoy my beautiful wife and my small family, and give attention to my children. There's this thing that you can't sit back when our people are suffering. You ought to stand up and fight for them. So I will never be a dictator. I was never brought up by dictators. I was mentored by people who subscribe to the democratic principles. I had an opportunity to sit on table with President Mandela. I had an opportunity at his house at Tunu, at his house in Gauteng. I had a meal many times with President Mandela. I had an opportunity to sit with his ex-wife, Winnie Mandela. I had an opportunity to know Peter Mkaba. So there's none of the dictators who has mentored me. There are certain things that even if I want to do, I look at those that I grew up admiring, and I ask myself, what will they say if we take such a tangent? So I still interact with Mama Winnie. I still listen to her advice, even when she's in the ANC. She's able to say to us, you guys are keeping us on our toes. And I like it that the youth is not apathetic, the youth is involved, because she's very passionate about young people. You know, I keep contact with people like Sam Mkokeli, who are in the ANC, who are still able to say, no, here we are wrong, here you are right, and they still want to talk to us like we're still in the ANC, and we say to them, hey, we are the opposition, remember, and we're opposing you, so you can't tell us how we must oppose you. Sometimes it might appear to be too rough and rude, but it appears like that to you because you have never been in an opposition. So when it comes to opposition politics, you must allow us to teach because you don't know. So
I need to follow this line. Yesterday, you said, should Zuma die tomorrow, children will pee on his grave. Yeah. They say he's corrupt, he's a dog, and he's a womanizer. Tweet that. Everybody said, whoa, stop him. That's crude, it's too crude. Yeah. Is what you just said now that in the opposition you have to push the line a bit more? Is that the driver? Is that why you able to say such things?
Yeah, you have to stretch it. What type of a sweetheart opposition are you? You have to be a robust opposition. You have to change the rules of the game. If you want to continue the same way the DA continued, what are you offering? What is so special about you? The stakes are high. The game is highly contested. That's why my man in the priest says Zuma Futsal, because he realizes, hey, this is too difficult now. The terrain has changed completely. This is a real opposition they are seeing and testing. So I was saying to you, you become what you have known. You become what you have admired. I've never known dictatorship. Neither did I admire dictators at some point. So I will not become what I've never known.
Is it perhaps a point in your relationship with President Zuma where really you say this is the point where things changed?
Well, it's more of a speculation and suspicion that when we advanced the argument on nationalization and land expropriation in the ANC, and then firstly it won the light of the day in the Youth League Conference in 2011, it then went further to win the day in the NGC of the ANC. And then the mistake we did was to then say we want Malema and Balula to be the people who are going to drive this radical change for economic freedom. So we coupled that radical program with leadership issues. And then Zuma became extremely threatened. And then he wanted to be the president for the second term. And when he saw us winning these things, he knew that we were going to win the leadership race in Mangaung. And then we became a threat to Zuma. I told him personally that we agreed on the fact one term. And you said to us, you actually didn't want to be president. We persuaded you to be president. You accepted reluctant. So we think that we've been fighting for a very long time. We need a cooling off period. And we think Malema is such a caliber of leadership, give the country a cooling off period. I mean, from Mbeki to you now, we've been in a permanent fight. So the country needs to calm down and focus on development and not on personalities. He was not happy with that. Blade was not happy with that. Gwede was not happy with that. Actually, Gwede told us that you are now chasing me. I'm going to chase you until you reach the river. And he said that in Xhosa. So I don't know Xhosa, but when I asked the SG of the Youth League, Makaka and Lungisa, they said, no, he says he's going to chase us back up to the river. So,
and he did.
And he did exactly that because they were threatened. So we expelled more because of leadership issues, not because we did anything wrong. Zuma is not a friend of Botswana today, but he used the Botswana issue to expel us because he had to go and look for reasons why we must be expelled. But I'm very happy he did because today we are in a much more comfortable space than we were in the ANC. When we speak freely. We don't even have, doubts that tomorrow somebody is going to give us a call and say, can you explain what you meant, and threaten you with some discipline and all that. So we are more happier now than we were in the ANC.
And the SARS issue doesn't bother you, or does it?
Which one?
SARS.
SARS?
Yeah.
No, SARS is one of the issues you deal with when you are grown up. Before you grow up, you don't even know anything about tax and all that. So you also have SARS issue because you have to file at the end of the financial year. So all of us, when it is a tax period, we file, we have our disputes with SARS. I don't look like a troubled man, SARS has got issues with me, raise them, I will confront you. And I'm doing exactly that. SARS is not above the Constitution. If it's used to settle political scores, I will expose it in court. I've done it before, I'll do it again. So I'm one person who wants to create new grounds and create new culture. I want to be remembered for that.